Christmas. Okay, so today is a little bit different for me. Today we're going to be working on a lawnmower that I'm not at all familiar with. I've only ever done one repair on one of these, which was a pull cord, and that's relatively easy on most lawnmowers. Today we're going to be working on a Qulcast cylinder mower with the front rotary blades on the front there. As I say, it's not something I'm used to working on. I don't carry any spare parts of these at all, so I need to be very careful on how we take it apart. The gentleman rang me and said that his mower was put away last year for the winter season. However, it failed to start this summer, or just last summer gone. So it's been sat in his shed all summer, and we've gone through Christmas and we're now in January, so we're now looking at nearly a year it's been sat in the storage. He says it doesn't start, and could I look at the height adjustment on it? He wants it set to a certain height, but he wasn't sure how to do that, I believe. So let's have a look at that. He also mentioned something about the throttle has to be tied down with string, so it sounds a bit like there's a bit of investigation needed. Maybe this gentleman's been inside the mower and had a little look himself. I'm not quite sure what we're going to find yet. So anyway, let's get down and dirty with it. Let's have a little look and see if we can't get this Qulcast cylinder mower up and running for this gentleman again this year.
Do you feel the vibes?
Okay, and here's the mower here. So it's a Qulcast cylinder mower. These are actually made by Atco in the UK. They're a pretty sought after machine really. They're not really used by the younger generation so much. They tend to be used by the old generation who have got lawns rather than just gardens. These stripe amazingly well due to the metal roller on the rear, and also they give a much better stripe because the blade is only rotating one way on comparison to a standard rotary mower where the blade flattens the grass going forward and also backwards as the blade rotates. So this mower is currently non-running. I haven't touched it at all. Literally just wheeled it in from the man's van and stuck it in the garden. So he did say it did have a service on it, so I am a bit intrigued as to why it won't now start. The spark plug looks relatively new from what I can see, so that's something we need to investigate. Just need to find out exactly what's going on with this mower so we can get a decent look at it. So as I say, the spark plug looks relatively new. Doesn't look old at all. There's lots of dirt and deposits on top of a carburetor there. So there's a string that he's on about with regards to this throttle mechanism. It looks like it's been tied down, or I'm not quite sure what's going on there. It's a bit weird. I believe this is either for the roller, maybe a dead man. I'm not really quite sure. And over this side here we also have another lever, so that looks like that's going to the rear roller that side there. So I dare say this might be the actual blades, turning blades on, but it does one or the other, but we'll figure that out as we go along. So the first thing I think we should do is check the oil to see if there's any oil in it, which it should be if it's had a service not too recently and had a little use afterwards. And then we'll put some petrol on the cylinder head, check the fuel tank, all that sort of stuff, just to see if we can't get this machine to turn over and see if we've got any life in it. So see you in a minute. Okay, so let's have a little look to see what we can do. Let's try and fuel first. Oh, it doesn't feel right to begin with. They're in here. Okay, so the fuel cap is actually spinning with the tank collar as well, so the tank is loose. So I need to figure out a way of getting in there, so I can't physically see. I have a whole lot spinning. So there's no way we can check the fuel. There is a fuel tap on the back here which turns, so that's fortunate enough. I think that's a fuel. Yeah, that's a fuel, so that must be off, that's on. So let's get a spark plug spanner. Let's put a bit of fuel down the cylinder head. In fact, let's give it a quick pull first. See what happens. So, a bit of choke, Let's choke on. Bit of that. It's not a pull cord. Of course, it's got a very short throw on the pull cord. It only goes to there. I might have to put a new cord on there. A dead man. No, that's for the blades. Okay, so that's the blades, so that must be the rear roller. So that's not starting at all. That's a shame about the fuel tank. Okay, let's get the spark plug out, put some petrol down the cylinder head and see what's occurring. Wasn't on very tight. The spark plug doesn't actually look too old at all. Wants a bit of a tidy up, but it's relatively new, which would back up what the man said it hasn't had much use. So let's get a bit of petrol. Got a bit of petrol in this syringe here. I'm just going to pour a bit into the top of the cylinder head. Put the spark plug back on. And then give that a couple of pulls. So the choke is definitely on. Don't need to pull that in. Okay, so we have a bit of life. So we've definitely got a spark and it runs. It could just be an issue with the fuel tank is what I'm hoping. We need to sort out this throttle linkage as well. So let me try and take this cover off of this here if I can. If not, I'll need to figure out to put something in underneath here to try and wedge this fuel tank. I might have to cut this piece out, we don't know yet. It might be a bit barbaric yet, but until I can get that fuel cap off, there's not a lot we can do. So, okay, so I managed to get the fuel cap off. It was difficult actually. I had to physically put a screwdriver behind this and just try and bounce it over top of the thread, so there's just no way of getting that off. However, it does now work. As long as you don't do it up too tight, it should be fine. I think maybe that's what it is. There's a collar in here which seems to be separate from the tank. The tank is absolutely bone dry and crystal clear clean. It's had a little tiny homemade thing put in here, so maybe that's the reason why. Literally, if that was more flatter, I think what's happened is he's wound it down too tight and this has got caught up in the threads possibly. So I might take that out at the end, trim it right up so that actually fits better. It's got a breather hole there, so it only wants one hole. I'll cut that, trim that so it fits nice and tight and snug. That'd be better off. But anyway, the fuel tank is now off, so let's put a bit of fuel in here now and see if we can't get it to run. Okay, there's a bit of fuel in there now. Let's put that fuel cap back on, just ever so loosely. It doesn't need to be tight at all. It tends to want to grab, so that's on. So what's next? We've got a fuel tap down here. Let's try that on. That looks like some kind of breather on there. I would have thought that would undo so you can bleed the fuel through. My carburetor, it doesn't want to move. I'm not going to adjust it for now. Let's just give it a couple of pulls and see what happens. Oh, before that, let's check the oil. It would be kind of nice if this mower just jumped into life, but I have my suspicions it's not going to. Before I undo that, I just want to give that a bit of a clean off because that's got a lot of muck all the way around there. I don't want to put anything else in there that shouldn't be. I will get the compressor out shortly and just give it a blow off, but just want to try and get it running before we invest any time into it. And does. So there's no dipstick there. So there should be somewhere to find a reading. One of these, which I'm not seeing. That says, as I say, these are new to me. That says oil, fill oil. So that must be where you fill it. So is there a separate place to check to see where a dipstick may be? Can't be behind here. Must be accessible. Would have thought. I'm not seeing one. Not seeing one anywhere. So I need to look into. I need to research that. Why I can't find a dipstick level on there. There will be one on there definitely. I just need to locate where it is. So let's have time now to just let some fuel run down to a carburetor. Let's give it a couple of pulls and see what happens. So choke on. An issue stopping the lawnmower there. It does appear that the throttle adjustment up here is not actually killing the mower, so I need to figure out why that's not working. It keeps falling backwards up here, but it should stop there, and it's not stopping the engine, so I've had to choke it to stop it, which is not ideal, and it's not something I would recommend doing at all. So that needs investigation. But however, amazing, that actually ran first or second pull, so that's brilliant news. Let me just try and start it one more time, and I'm going to have to choke it to stop it again, I suspect, unless I can figure out how that stop switch actually works. So this time I'm going to try it with no choke. So it does actually work, but it's a slow compression engine, so it takes a little while to stop, not like the modern engines, I suppose. It's what I'm used to working on, so it does work, but the throttle does have a lot of slack in there. But hey, it started first pull with no choke. That's amazing, actually. I'm quite impressed with that. The drive works also, but the drive will only work with the blades engaged, which I'm assuming is normal. The blades will work as well, so that's good. One other thing, he said about he couldn't adjust it, but I've just noticed there's a... Let me put you down a smidge. just noticed there's actually a little tiny adjustment arm just there. So that looks like, I'm going to take the spark plug top off so neither blades. Yeah, there's adjustment there. Okay, so that's good. We can adjust that up, no problem. The blades look really good condition and they're sharp too. So okay, I'm really happy with this now. So I'll just do a service on it, but to be fair, it's not going to want a major service. It's just probably going to want the spark plug cleaned, the air filter blown out. I might put a new pull cord on it, although it doesn't need a big throw. My only concern is if I take that pull cord assembly off the top is how much spring is on there, and if that spring breaks inside that assembly, then I'm going to be stuck because I don't have any spare parts of these, as I say. But I really am impressed that that little lawnmower jumped into life. Rightio, so that's that all cleaned off. Just going to put a rag on the back of this mower, just so there's a bit of oil residue there. Just want to clean that off. Looking a bit tidier. A lot of oil on there. It's actually in pretty good condition, this little mower, which is nice to see, and it just proves that back in the day they actually made lawnmowers in better condition. I mean, there's not barely any rust on this at all, and I'll give it a good polish up once it's done so it's presentable to the owner. Okay, let me get a little tiny Phillips screwdriver and I want to take the air filter out, see what condition that's in. I may have to blow it out to clean it, or I may pop on and get a new one, but judging by the spark plug, we may get away just blowing it out. So let me grab a Phillips screwdriver and we'll have that out. Okay, I've got one to hand. Let's have a little look in here. Little tiny screws on this side, not one down the bottom. One here. Oh, you can see my bald head. Okay, so no air filter. That's one I'm going to have to pick up. There's going to need a new air filter in there. So I'm going to block the air intake out. I'll block that up and then just compress the inside of that as well very quickly. I don't want to introduce anything inside this carburetor because we know it is a working carburetor, so if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. Get my air gun. Good. I'm assuming there's an air filter goes in there. It'd be crazy if there wasn't. So I'm going to put that back on just to make sure we don't get anything else in it. I'll give that a bit of a wipe just in there. That's dirty as well. And a bit of an air compress on that without dropping these screws. Let's put these screws up here so I don't lose them. That sits in there, and sits in there. So that's good. I'm going to take the spark plug out, put that on the old wire brush disc and give that a clean. As I say, the spark plug looks really new, so, and it's working. So that's fantastic news. I'm going to drop the fuel off of the carburettor, just a fuel pipe, because I'm just inquisitive as to know which way around this fuel tap at the back works. Doesn't actually say. I just want to just be doubly sure that one way is on, one way is off. Let's take that spark plug back out. I'll give that a good clean. I've got a special grinder and brushing tool on my desk, so I'll just give that a quick buff. As I say, it's in good condition. It just wants a bit of a clean up. There's a little bit of carbon on there, not a great deal, nothing that would give me any concern for those. And we come back and move on to the next step. Look inside this housing here as to why that throttle cable is just sneaking back. I think this wants a bit of adjustment, but we're looking at that next. Okay, so we're now back, and I've been in contact with my friend who lives down the road, who deals with these type of mowers more than me, and it's actually not a Qulcast, so to speak, that's the sponsor. This is actually a Suffolk Punch 30S, which is a bit of English heritage, if you like, so that's good. He's got lots of information on it, because I couldn't find the oil dipstick, but he said literally you just drain it all out the back, out through this little tiny spot here, undo that, tip the mower back, drain the oil out, and then just literally fill once it's level again, just fill it back up just until you can see the top of it, and that's enough. So that's good. I also inquired that it hasn't got an air filter in, and what type of filter does it have inside, and he said they're just a normal sponge filter. So he said if you've got any modern ones, Briggs and Stratton ones, or just your run-of-the-mill square ones that come off the Hondas, he said just cut one to shape, as long as it's got the airflow hole tucked in it, so that would be absolutely fine. So I'm going to cut the filter into shape now, and that'll have an air filter in. I'm going to tip the mower back and change the oil, so that'll be done, top that back up, and then we get back in to do this front cover with regards to this throttle linkage, why that's not quite working as it should. It is working, but it seems to be drifting back up, so it looks like there's not enough tension, or it just needs tightening up. So let's get that done, and then I'll come back. Rightio, so I've just done the air filter. Let me just drop you down a smidge, sorry for rocking you around. I've just done the air filter, just literally made one up, put it in place, cut a hole around the air intake that gets plenty of air in but won't suck anything else in, and then just gonna literally, that goes around that way actually, stick that in. How good is that? That's perfect, good as new. So that's now got an air filter. I'll put the spark plug back in. The oil change has now been done, and give it another run just to make sure that air filter is not affecting the running of the engine. So we're halfway home now. Nice to give this man a ring to say his mower's done. So let's put the spark plug back in and give it a run. So I've cleaned the spark plug right up, and it is like new. So it was new anyway, pretty much. Let's just nick that up. Spark plug's back. HT lead down there. Lovely. I'll leave the choke off for now, see if it runs. The choke. Oh, it's on stop. I must turn it off, that's better. Okay, that's all good. It seems to be the throttle is working better now. It seems to be tighter. I haven't actually done anything to it, but it did click earlier as I was adjusting it, so maybe that's self-fixed itself. It's something to look at it, definitely. One more pull. Nope, that's working lovely. Okay, I just want to take this plastic cover off back because I just want to make sure that it is all working. Take the string off, make sure the string hasn't just got caught up inside it. So just to take that off, that's literally just a couple of bits, a couple of clips on the back here just to undo those. So I'll get them taken off and come back to you. Rightio, I have now removed this petrol tank and cover and literally just held on by these clips here to just go around this bar mechanism. So it's about 4 or 6 screws to come off, and the whole fuel tank and throttle assembly all comes off together. Just go a bit careful, I've got petrol in there, so just want to rest it up so it doesn't fall over, which I'm struggling with now. There it goes, put it down there, something like that. Okay, so this is what we're looking at now, is all this string set up which goes round and onto his throttle arm, and this is what he was saying, is that the throttle keeps sliding back on its own when the engine's running. But I have noticed there is actually, let me spin you around, there's actually a little screw just here. So I wonder if we take all this string out, get rid of all of that, and then tighten that up first, see if that fixes it. If not, we might have to take that apart to see if something's come adrift inside there. So we'll have a look into that anyway. Let's get the string off and we'll go from there. Rightio, so now the string's all off, and this is a problem he's having. I don't know if you can see it, as you push the throttle into full throttle, it's actually springing back ever so slightly, and it is just moving. There's not a lot of pressure there to hold that. So let's just give this screw a little turn up the top here, see if it's loose. Oh, we'll take a turn. Let's go increments at a time. Just little quarter turns. Well, that seems to have made it a bit stiffer. Touch more. Okay, let's go all the way. Okay, now I can't move that. Okay, so that's good. Let's go back back 3/4 of a turn to bring it back to where we have actually got it. I want it quite stiff. But that's, I would say that's got it, and I might just let him know just to tighten that up just a touch as and when it wears. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That didn't necessarily need a lot of work, did it really? To be fair, that seems to be holding, so that's good. Right, so let's reassemble it, put it all back together, and we'll give it a final run up and see if that throttle is actually doing its job. Right, what I thought I'd do quickly is I thought I'd just show you how this goes back on. It is very self-explanatory, but lots of people, that's why they come onto YouTube and look at these reviews, is to see how it's done. So rather than me just telling you how it comes off, if I show you how to put it back together, then at least somebody will know how to take it off. So pretty much you've got these little tiny plastic clips, which I've only taken one off on some, and they just literally fold over like so. See down the bottom here, I've caught one there. Bring them back out. That's it, that's better. And they just literally just screw on. So really simple, but as I say, that's the reason why some people might have just even gone to review to see how that comes off. So it's always best to show people firsthand what's going on. So literally just screw them up. I've got a magnetic screwdriver, which makes life so much easier. That's better. Get rid of his other screws, I don't want to lose them. That's it. And you don't want to over tighten these because it is only plastic. It's only just holding in place there, so don't want to go mad. Just start that first one off, and then where's that go? Up in this top side here. Just start him off ever so gently. And that screw hole. It's lovely. Stop that one off. And just before it nicks down tight, just marry it up with the other hole. The next one. In there. That can now be tightened up. So these aren't even tight, these are just, you know, these are just snugged in. It is only plastic. It's a good job that my friend knows a bit more about these than I do. So I don't normally take these type of mowers in, but I may. There you go, so you can drop one. I may start to do a bit more to broaden my horizon with regards to this type of Suffolk Punch mower, or Qulcast sponsor. Just to get a bit more information, especially with regards to like the oil change. Because it'd be a terrible shame to see an engine seize up just because we don't know how to change the oil on them. I think it's the second to last screw. I've got one spare, so I'm missing one somewhere. Let's put that one up there. Doesn't want to. Oh word, you don't want to go in there at all. Too big at the bottom. One more to go into there, and that's that done. That's that one snugly done. And then the last one goes in here. And the reason the man couldn't do that throttle is because that screw is not actually visible once this cowling is on. I'll show you very shortly around. That cowling, that screw is not actually visible, look, so that's why he had problems. But now tighten that up a touch, that is working as it should do. Okay, so let's now put you back up properly, decent height, and we'll fire this up to see if that throttle is now working properly and also shutting itself off, which it was doing, but it was all just ever so slack. Let me drop it down a smidge. That's better. Somewhere there. Okay, lovely job. The temperature's dropping, so I'll be going indoors very shortly. My little boy will be home soon from school, so he'll want to come play with his dad. No doubt. Okay, let's feels okay. I'm gonna leave the choke off. Let's on this off. Let's give it a go without it. Bit of revs. Yeah, that's working fantastically. That's good. Right, so the last project I've got to do on this mower is just this fuel cap. I'm just going to take this little corkage out. I'm just going to trim that up a touch. It might be erudited in, so I might put a Stanley blade just around the edge just to tidy that up. It doesn't need to be as high as that. I think that's the problem with regards to why it was getting caught. But all in all, what have we done? We've done an oil change. We cleaned the spark plug up. We've put an air filter in, made one fit, which is brilliant. We've adjusted the throttle on this mower so that the lever doesn't slip anymore. We're giving it a good air compress off. I was thinking about the pull cord, but do you know what? I might just leave it because there's no compression there to speak of. It's such a small little engine, so I might just leave that. I'll contact the bloke, and if he wants me to put a new pull cord on it, a longer one, I will do, but I don't think it actually warrants it. But all in all, a nice simple little project. A lawnmower wasn't running for nearly a year, which is good. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with that. Okay, so I'll just cut that more to size, just so that fits in there much better. That's it, not nice and snug now. So that's good. Just gonna put that back on the tank. And I think the question is here is just literally that doesn't have to be too tight, because as soon as you put it on too tight, you're never gonna get that back off. So I might even just smear a bit of oil just around there, just to keep that nice and lube so it doesn't stick. But good. Okay, so that's good. It's up and running and finished, I believe. So in the next week's video, I'm still waiting for that filter to come in for that mount field, which is not a standard part, so I've had to order that. But next week I shall have a Hater 41. She's just over here. A little Hater 41 I got coming, and that's got an adjustment problem on the deck. The wheels just drop down, so that needs a new part on there. So I'll get that one done. Next, I'll order a part in. In fact, I might even have a spare Hater in the shed I can take a part off for that. So that'd be good.
Do you feel the